Okay. This is a quick lecture on Git, right? Not even any slides. So mostly just terminology I want to talk about. And then we'll do a couple demos, or really you guys will do the demos. I'll just navigate. All right, so what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about some basic Git commands, the concept of branching, some more terminology, and how your general workflow should go. So first, we should talk a little bit about Git versus GitHub. So Git, right? Git is a version control system. So, when you're writing code, you're often making changes to existing files. Sometimes things work and sometimes they break. And either way, you want to keep some kind of system in place so that if something breaks, you could go back. Essentially, this is like having a whole bunch of save states while you're playing video games, right? That's the easy way to think about it, that you can constantly go back to certain things. So it has a record of changes. And for collaboration, it lets you know who did what. And you can also go back to previous states in case anything had broken. So now GitHub, which is different, right? GitHub is a repository, an online repository for hosting Git, for hosting Serious for Git, repository hosting Serious for Git. Anyway, a repository is going to be called a repo. And that's really all I got to say. So let's take a look at this image here so you get an idea. This is similar to what you've been doing before, right? So each of those little cylinders are a database, right? And the idea being you have a database on your computer, your working directory, you add files with git add. Usually we'll just do git add dot, right? For git add everything here. That puts it into a place called the staging area. I don't really have too much to say about the staging area. There's not too much important things to say there other than knowing that that's a step. Once you add things to the staging area, you commit them with a little message, try and be a little descriptive. And that goes to the local repository. This is essentially like saving it to the local repository. What you want to do with GitHub, though, is push it to a remote repository so other people can have access to your code and work off of it. So the tools that you've already used before, the command line tools, are git clone, and you give it a URL, and that'll take a remote repository and bring it to you locally wherever you are. So grab something from remote and bring it local. Git add will take any files that you give it as arguments, and we'll add them to the staging area, right? That's going to be the first step for making commits. The next step will be git commit -m. You give it a message, right? Usually I do something like add : what did I add? Or fix : what did I fix? However you want to do it, it's fine. Then git push, right? Git push is going to take that local repository and make the copy of it to the remote repository, make any changes from local to remote. Git pull is going the opposite direction, taking something from a remote repository, right? Any changes that are on the remote repository and bringing them into your local repository, right? So it could be the case that the remote repository is a little bit ahead of you, right? They have more code that you don't. You will git pull, and then you'll get that code to your local repo. And you have git status. That'll show you any files that you have in your staging area. Sometimes useful, sometimes useful. Okay, any questions on this slide so far? Okay, cool. Whoa. Why is that not letting me go to the next slide? Okay, sure. I don't know why it's not. Whatever. So let's enter branches. And you can use branches so that multiple people can work in parallel instead of everybody working on one file. One person has to work at a time. So this way, multiple people can work on multiple features off of one code base. And you could isolate your work from each other's. This is more relevant to software engineers than it is to you for this project right now. One, because one, I don't think that you are at the level of coding experience where there's a lot of value in you coding by yourself. What do I mean by that? I mean, you should be coding in pairs. Just because that's at the level that you're at right now. And the other thing is your projects are going to be small, like not very many files. So it's very likely that you'll all be touching like the same file instead of working on different things off of different kind of features. So anyway, here's the idea. If we look at the image here, we have one main branch, which is that green one. And we have the red and the blue and the purple branches. This is everyone else having their own copies of the main, but they're adding things to it or making slight changes. And once they've, done their little ticket, whatever it is that they need to do, adding a new feature, fixing a bug, adding a, sidebar to something, right? As long as, that code is just an addition, right? They can merge it into the main branch and then everyone can pull it into their branches. Okay. This is the idea behind branching. And does this want to go to the next slide? Okay, so here's the terminology I need you all to know. We have remote, right? You should all be already familiar with this when we're talking about the remote repository. The other term you'll see is sometimes called the origin. It's like where you get your local copy from. And you can fork it, or it can be from someone else's GitHub repo. You have local. This is going to be the repo that's on your local computer, duh. And then you have main or master, or I guess master or main. Main is what they're starting to call it now. And that's the main branch, right? The main branch that everyone is kind of made to branch off of, right? They like using a lot of tree terminology. The other terms that we should be familiar with, you've probably heard this before, is merge, right? That's taking the changes from the branch that you're working on and putting them into the main branch. Then you probably heard this term before, pull request. That's used in collaboration. You issue a pull request is the term you'll often see. And that's, asking whoever owns the repo to take your changes and put them into the main branch. Right. So for example, if, there's some cool open source thing that you want to learn about, or want to work on or add some feature to, right? You clone their, say you want to add to I can't think of one, auto recon. I think auto recon's written in Python. I could be wrong though, right? So you want to add some feature to auto recon, you clone it, you add your feature, and then you would put in a pull request with whoever owns the auto recon repository to ask to see if you can commit, if they can merge your code in. And if they like it, if they, approve it, it'll be added in there, and then everyone will have access to it. Okay, so this is the general GitHub workflow for software engineers, right? They will have some main repository that has the whole application that they're working on. For example, I know Wayfair's application is all in one big repo. And then different engineers or different people, different software people will be working on different branches specific to whatever their task is. Right? They try and make everything as modular as possible, as small as possible. They add their commits to the branch. Okay. They open a pull request, which is essentially saying, hey, I'd like to merge in these requests to main. They do, some kind of code review, some kind of process, hopefully. And then they'll merge it into the main branch and do whatever they need to do to deploy the app out there once the code's in there. Okay. So let's stop there. And what I'd like someone to do, one group, if someone has a repository already set up, let us go ahead and get them to, do this once or twice, like make a branch, add a file to it, put it in there. Someone else will get the stuff. Who wants to? I'll need 2 volunteers.
So I have one set up.
All right, cool. So what I'd like you to do is share your screen and go to your GitHub repo. Or really, just let's go to your GitHub account and we'll make a new repo and this whole thing will be a demo. Okay. What I'd like you to do, but don't even do your snort. Let's make a new repo. So just go ahead and hit new at the top right there. And we can call it whatever you want to call it, demo, collaboration, whatever. Okay. And that's fine. Let's make it public, sure. Because we're going to want our projects to be public probably, right? Usually I add them with a README file. This .gitignore option right here. So one, we know dot is saying that that file is hidden, but .gitignore is which files in the repository are we not tracking? So we're not going to keep track of certain files. Generally, those files might be things like that hold API keys or things like that that we don't want to commit onto GitHub, but we do want them to be locally. At this point, let's just, yeah, sure, go ahead, add a .gitignore. If you use a Mac, by the way, as the computer, sometimes Mac uploads this like .ds store. I don't know if you have ever seen this before. That usually gets added to the gitignore because it's like a local thing you don't want to track on there. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah, hit create repository. I think we're good. All right, as you see there, it says main is going to be the default branch. Yeah, just go ahead and hit none or any. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Or even just not have a gitignore. That's fine. Okay. Okay. So what I'd like you to do now is click that green code button and copy, yeah, hit that clipboard there and go into a terminal and you can do git clone that repository. The only thing I'll tell you is you don't want to nest your GitHub repositories. That is, if you're inside a GitHub repository and that file path, you don't want to have another one inside there. It screws things up. Okay, and then you go ahead and CD in there. All right, so now we're inside that repository. Let's add a file. Let's create a file and call it, 5lines.txt. And just put 5 lines into that text file. I don't care what you write into it. I just want something in there. Okay, cool. Very good. All right. So we have a file now, right? We've done some stuff. We wrote some great code. Fantastic, right? We solved a bug. What you do generally, as soon as you have any, like people ask me, a lot of in web dev, they ask much more, when do I commit? And the answer I give you is whenever you've done something successfully, essentially, right? Whenever you've written some code that you're like, okay, let's save. So, okay, we've written some code, let's save it. So the way I'd like you to save it is git add. And you can write just git add dot if you're at the root of the repository, which you are right now, or you could git add space dot, excuse me, right? Git add space dot is saying here, right? Git add this directory, right? Because dot means my working directory. You can also git add and give it specifically the file name. Let's just do git add dot. Okay. And now it doesn't, bash doesn't show you anything. We'll do git status. So let's see what happens. And this gives you a little bit of information. It says what we've done here, right? We've added, and it shows you the changes. There's a new file called 5lines.txt. Cool. So after we add, we're going to commit. So let's do git commit. And we'll give it a message -m, and I'll say, add, 5 lines file or whatever. And it needs to be in quotes, this message. Okay, so we need to do these 2 things. Go ahead and run those 2 things.
I think you need the user.email thing first.
Yeah.
Shit, that's right.
And there are other ways to set this up. Like GitHub is now recommending that people set up your, because we need to log into GitHub, right? We need to authenticate with GitHub. GitHub needs to make sure that you have credentials and authorization to make changes to this repository, right? So here's how we're authenticating. This is one way. GitHub, I think, generally recommends using SSH keys now.
Yeah, I got an email, I think, that like it said like
recently.
we saw you're using passwords. Using passwords only is going to be depreciated soon. We recommend doing something else or something,
Yes.
something along those lines.
Yes. I'm not going to go through that right now, but I'll give you a link on how to do it. It's like super easy. You've already added SSH keys to things before, so I'll give you documents for that. Okay, so we have done that. Yeah. So let's run the git push. Let's get that done. Did we commit? No, we didn't commit. Let's commit. Okay, cool. And now let's git push. You'll also have to put in your password, but it won't be visible.
Shit, I don't even know what my password is.
Stop sharing your screen before you. You're still sharing. I'm like going to steal it away from you if you don't. Before I forget, I'll put the document on SSH keys out. It's that's how to review them. I'll find a better doc. Here it is. I just put this in there just so that you can bookmark using SSH to authenticate with GitHub. I'd share my screen on it, but it literally shows you the keys. So I guess I could make new keys, but I'm lazy. Sorry. While Tim's doing that, I'm going to need my second volunteer. So if they need to get ready and find their password or whatever, might be. Okay, cool. All right, we pushed. Very, very good. Cool. So now I would like to get a volunteer to share. Well, actually, excuse me. Before I do that, I would like you to go back to GitHub in the browser and hit refresh here so that we could see the beautiful new file that's been added. Cool. And now what I'd like you to do is go to settings and collaborators. Is it on?
I think you made this public, so collaborators is the thing.
Oh. No,
Merge.
You scroll up. and go to manage access.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. And let's, who's going to be the volunteer? This is where we need another person.
well,
There we go. So could you just give us your handle, GitHub handle?
P Walt 08. No S.
Equal 0.
08.
There we go. Cool. All right, Adam. And he'll be invited. You'll get an email, Patrick, that you're going to check out. And it will be like, you were invited to, this repo or something, and you just hit accept it. And then here, right, the owner of the repo can manage what access Patrick's going to have, right? So, depending on how big the organization is and how big the project is, right, you don't maybe want people to have certain access on the repo. Like, should they be able to just delete everything or, kill the whole thing? Maybe not, right? Depends on who it is. So let me know when you get that, Patrick, and hit yes or whatever.
Good to go.
Okay, refresh this page, Tim, and let's see. So he's a collaborator. I guess that's all you have to do. All right, so let's can you paste that link to the repository in Zoom, and then we'll swap over to Patrick, and he'll grab everything.
To the homepage, right? Or the
Yeah, so go to that, and then the green button that says code. Yeah, and you can kick that clipboard. It automatically does it. So you don't have to look at that, save the right click gesture. And put that in Zoom or something. Oh, does it not save it to the clipboard on in your? No, it should.
it should. Just make sure. All right, so now we need to go to chat.
Okay, and then let me, or you stop sharing, and we'll get Patrick to do it. And so what you're going to do now is git clone the repo. I see, you got it.
Are you doing Control V or Control Shift V? Because Control V doesn't work.
None of them are working.
Just
What?
right click and paste.
What? Why is
That's weird.
Probably got too many things open. That's why.
You just have so many nested shells. That's okay.
Yeah.
Can you open up like a new terminal?
There we go. Oh my God.
You crashed it.
He's dead, Jim. All right, let's see.
This was an issue that I had before.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, cool. So now let's clone that. Make sure we have that right thing. I think you hit paste twice.
Is
we
it
have
not
a-
saving to your clipboard for some reason?
Yeah. No, it is. So is it not
Okay.
saving? You're not going into the terminal?
Not transferring for some.
Try just doing Control Shift V once.
Yeah, that's not working.
No.
Weird.
Okay. Does your host is Windows?
Mac.
Do you have? I don't like doing it this way. You could get Git on your Mac, right? There's not necessarily I don't know if there's necessarily a reason for you to work in Kali, but okay, cool. So we're in there, but it's going to be a pain in the butt if your password's strong and long and you have to paste that in.
Oh, son of a. Yeah, it is. Damn it.
Okay, so we can go inside here. And like you could already see all of that stuff. What you would normally do, what you could do now is make changes to that file, right? Like, so open up that file, add some changes. Sure. And at this point, right, you've solved whatever bug it is or made whatever feature. You would git add dot again, or git add the specific files, git commit your message, like finish this feature or whatever.
He probably has to do that same add email
You
and all
may.
that.
Yep.
Do you need the quotes around the around your email address or no?
Well, it says you do.
I'm never sure when I see something like that. Like if it's just like a way to differentiate an email from from another command, or if it's actually necessary.
I didn't use the quotes. It worked fine.
Always the only quotes I'm not scared for, but not concerned with either, but being aware of in Bash is that single quotes will not interpret anything and double quotes will. So it's like literally the string versus the string and any variables or whatever inside. Okay, sure, let's do it. Okay, and now git push. The hard part, I guess. You could stop
So,
sharing.
Now on Tim's machine, he doesn't have the updated version, so he would have to do a git pull to get the updated version.
So yeah, that's where we're gonna go switch over to. You want to probably stop your screen and change your password after this.
Right.
That's okay. I have a video with Michael Cranch where he he accidentally put his API keys on the screen too, and he had to do the same thing. So good time for everyone to, I guess, update their passwords for it and then upload SSH keys for GitHub. Okay, so Patrick, I'll just assume you'll be able to get that going. Tim, could you share your screen again? I want to see what it looks like on the actual owner's GitHub repo on the web browser.
It's pushed.
Okay, cool. So let's see that on Tim's side as the owner. If you do a refresh, right, you see that he added those lines 1 minute ago, right? So if we click on that file, we could see it right there. That's the changes that he made. But if you go on Tim, if you go open up the file yourself locally, you'll notice that it's the old code that you had, right? It says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something. So could you show us that?
You mean on my cloned repo, right?
Yeah. So go into open up in that terminal. Right. So you see that this is not up to date. So can you git status? I think it'll tell you here. Oh, that's not true. Do you git pull? Okay, and now you should see that file is changed, and it shows you that it's changed. It should be the one that's up to date with the master or main repository. Okay, so all of this to show you without using branches what we can do. Okay, essentially it's like we're all working in the same place and we have one master copy, and everyone has the ability to go ahead and change that master copy. So this is a quick and dirty, useful way, depending on what we're doing, to do this, right? Does this way is one way that makes sense. Alternatively, we can use some branches so that we are a little bit more safe and don't step on each other's toes. So let's do that. While I've got you still doing this here, let's make a branch, Tim. Let's make a branch. We're not going to do it here. We're going to do it all in the terminal. All right. So we just updated, right? What I want you to do is, okay, we're going to work on a new feature. Well, this feature is going to be, add birthday to profile page, right? That's what we're going to say. And so we're going to do git checkout, git space checkout, CHECKOUT -B for branch. Whoops. B, yeah, for branch, and then space, whatever we want to call this new branch. Usually we call it something related to whatever you're working on.
So,
Okay, and you type git status. Git status or git branch. Can you git branch, I think. It tells you the information. Okay, so you can see there's two branches. We have the main branch and you have the branch where we're working on some feature now. And it shows you with that little asterisk there and with the green that we are on the added something branch. So let's actually add your new feature. So let's do, I don't know, make a new file, add something to it just so we can see. I don't care what's on it. Well, let's make it a new file. Cool. Sounds good. So save it, add it, add it, commit it with a message. Yeah, just make it a different one from that just so that we could see it's different. Again, the messages don't have to be big. I've literally seen messages from some full stack, like from LearnDot. I saw a git commit where someone removed a line from a file and the message was, I don't know what this does, so I'm removing it. It's important to document everything you're doing and why you do it. I'm not saying that's a good commit message. I'm just saying to document why you're doing what you're doing. Okay, so we committed it. Now we're going to do git push, but now say git push origin and then what the name of the branch is, because we want to push it to a specific branch.
it's origin or just
Origin, ORIGIN, and whatever the name of the new branch is, adding something, space adding something. Okay, you don't have to share your screen in case.
oh.
Cool. We pushed. We threw it on to adding something. Let's go to the website now and to the top of the repo. Yep. All right. And look, so that branch had a push made to it, and you see there's this new thing. We have compare and pull request, right? So if you go ahead and click that, you'll see here. It'll do some general analysis to see if there's anything that conflicts between the branch you're trying to merge and the main branch, as in like two files that say different things. And we're like, I don't know which one you want, right? But since this is a brand new file, all right, there's no problem. We'll be able to merge it together, no problem. The biggest challenge people will face is what we call like a merge conflict, where two files are disagreeing with what they say. And, the way you solve those is figuring out what do you actually want your code to say, which one of them is the source of truth. In this case, right, if everyone's working on separate files, you generally don't have any merge conflicts. If everyone's working on the same file, you have to be a little bit more careful. This one, right, it says it's fine. It's able to merge. It's green. Usually, you could put a little comment if you want, but you'll just hit the button, the green create pull request. Right, look, it says it's able to do it. It says merge pull request, right? No conflicts. You're happy with it. Boom. Go ahead and hit confirm. Merge, cool. And then generally we'll delete the branch because it's, that branch was specifically for some feature. So you can go ahead, hit delete branch. Yay, and it's all gone, right? So, there you go. That's the new thing. If Patrick wants, now Patrick can git pull and he'll have, the new file.txt. And, then everybody's happy. This is how we can share code.
And confirm I do have new file.txt.
Cool. So this is how you can do it with branches if everyone works on separate branches. Like I said, the benefit for that is, it's not like everyone is working on the same page. Like if one person commits things and that commit was like, there's, just everything, nothing on it, then the single source of truth now has nothing on it. It's not a big deal because like I said, if you committed before, you could always just roll back, right? But, just something to be aware of, That's all I gotta say. I'm gonna stop this recording. I'm going